Hello once again to all our supporters, our stakeholders, our viewers of iGreyhound. Here we are again. It's another Thursday evening. And just like some of our previous episodes, we are trying out what we call as a hybrid format because we are doing this via Zoom so that even if some of our guests may not be here in Dumaguete City or on campus, we are still able to connect with them. So tonight is another very exciting episode. I hope we're going to have a really nice conversation because we're trying out uh, this particular modality where I am in Dumaguete and it's a weekend. It's a Saturday today in the Philippines, and I am speaking with two of our alumni from Foundation University who are right now in London. Yes, and may I introduce them to all our viewers. They may not exactly be strangers, especially to those who have studied at Foundation University because they were campus figures while they were students. But I will allow them to relate their story. But may I introduce first the lady? She is Yasmin Marco Braithwaite now, and she has been a campus figure at Foundation University, a graduate of education, cum laude, but I will allow her to tell the rest of the story to our viewers. Hi, Yasmin, and what is
Hi,
it
ma'am.
now? Good evening in UK.
It's actually 8 a.m. here,
Yes,
so
8 a.m.
good morning.
So it's good morning. Okay, that's great. Yes, very good. So it's 3 in the afternoon here in the Philippines. Thank you very much. And beside the very still, of course, very beautiful Yasmin is her spouse. Yes, I should not say better half, no, because both of you are equally better for each other or good for each other. I'd like to introduce to all our viewers Mr. Christopher Marco Braithwaite. Hi, Chris. Welcome to iGreyhound.
Thank you for having us, ma'am. And it's really good. It's really a privilege to be here and sharing our stories
Yes.
to our viewers. Yeah.
Yes, right. And I think this is something new to both of you because I'm not interviewing you individually, but I am interviewing you together this time, right? Okay, very nice. Now, I don't know who will speak first, but perhaps you can tell our viewers how your being together all started. I think it may have started on campus as a student. Tell us.
I think I will let him speak, ma'am.
Really?
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead, Chris.
Let me take this one because to me it's funny because we were never really in the same year in foundation. I graduated in 2012. She then joined, or a few right after, June 2012. So as I've said, I graduated. She was a freshman, and so we were never in the same year. The reason I said it's a funny story is because when I was in FU, I was doing school campaigns.
Yeah.
Across Negros, and my toka, say for example, that's what I call it. It's the locations that I need to cover. So it's from Canlaon to Tayasan. It just so happened that I live in Canlaon.
And I'm from Tayasan.
She is from Tayasan.
Okay.
Right after I graduated, she also did school campaigns, and at this, she also did the same location.
So I kind of inherited the locations that he had to cover. So I had to cover schools from Canlaon to Tayasan.
Okay.
So we
Okay,
never
yeah.
technically met,
Yeah.
but I was with Sir and Festan there. And we had a photo taken right in front of Mount Canlaon.
Okay.
Sir Anderson posted that on Facebook, and he made a comment saying, "Did you enjoy your time there?" or something like that. So I didn't know that he already knew me, and I just randomly replied, and I said yes in behalf of Sir Anderson. And you continue.
That's where it all started. I then messaged her. I have to emphasize that I was the one who messaged her first
Okay.
on Facebook.
Yes,
And then that's where it all started. We exchanged messages, chatted, and that was it. It was not in person meeting, but it was a virtual meetup for us, and we just clicked right away.
But he had to confess, ma'am, that he has seen me on campus before, but I didn't quite notice him. I didn't really notice him, but he has told me on a couple of occasions that he would see me in the ICT suite, or he would see me walking to the cafeteria. And then when he finally messaged me, we just clicked instantly. It's almost as if I was messaging a person that I have known for a lifetime, which was very odd, because it's like, if people know me, I'm what they call maldita or stricta. That's the thing that people would say about me.
Yeah.
Yes, but with him, I felt like my barriers just went down. The walls that I have built just went down automatically of that level of comfort that I had with him. So we decided to finally meet. And I said, this guy is not only very clever, he's not only very kind, but he's so charming. He was so handsome. And the rest of his...
Okay. So in other words, your so-called love story was on campus? It continued while you were on campus, or has Christopher graduated after Yasmin entered Foundation University? I think you had already graduated, Chris, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I already graduated.
Right.
But I spent a few times at FU right after I took the board exam, visited a few friends, and I saw her. That's what I think that was the time when she was already at FU. She was and so I saw her and noticed her a couple of times, and that was it. And again, most of our, I guess, it's more of a relationship discussion for now.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think most of the time we were long distance relationship. We were in a long distance relationship.
So for the first 3-4 years of the relationship, I was in Dumaguete and he was already at SJV in Cebu. So it was a matter of meeting once every month or once every 2 months. He would either have to travel to Dumaguete, or I would have to travel to Cebu. And then after that, we were in Cebu together for briefly about 6 months. And then I moved to London. So we were on an even longer distance relationship then.
While Chris was in Cebu. While Chris remained in Cebu. Okay. So in other words, that was after you had graduated in 2016 that you moved to London?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you finished education, graduating cum laude. And yes, you became Hara sa FU in 2012. That's quite interesting. But Chris was not Chris was still in FU at the time. You were a 4th-year student. No, not anymore?
Wasn't, ma'am. He graduated already.
I already graduated. March 2012 already left FU, and then it's not the same year in December that you became Hara.
Okay, yes. Okay, so practically you did not really come together physically or met each other. Yes, oh my goodness. That's quite a story, huh? I think
it is.
Not many among those who have known you in FU may have known about it as well. So anyway, so Yasmin, after you had graduated, you immediately went to London. Was it because there was really something that was already permanently offered to you in London?
No, ma'am. So the primary reason why I wanted to move here, I worked in Cebu for about 6 months. And I think my job then as an English teacher only paid about £200.
Okay.
And I have 2 sisters, 2 younger sisters. As the eldest, since our parents have already passed away, I feel like the sole responsibility of sending them to school was on me. Now, I said to myself, there's just no way I'd be able to support them on what I'm currently earning. I had the option to come to the UK because my dad's British, so I could apply for a British passport. So I said, you know what? It's one, I'd be able to explore my British side, my father's roots. And, at the same time, there are better opportunities there. So those were the 2 main reasons why I had to move to the UK.
Right. And well, we are friends on Facebook, Yasmin and myself, right? And I have noticed and I have noted and observed that you earned some degrees. You earned a like a college degree all over again, or even
Yeah.
if you had graduated cum laude here in the Philippines. Yeah, tell
Mm.
us about that experience. Yes.
So what it is, ma'am, when I arrived here, I wanted to start teaching straight away. So there was a series of hurdles that I had to overcome. So first, when I had my degree assessed by NARIC, it's like an equivalency assessment that they do
Mm-hmm.
to assess whether or not you can qualify as a teacher, whether you can work as a teacher here. So what
Yeah.
they did was they placed everything into consideration, considered the curriculum, considered my grades. And at the end of the day, they said that the equivalent of a bachelor's degree in the Philippines is only a diploma in higher education here. So that
Okay.
means that I
Mm.
couldn't teach with the qualification that I currently had. So back then, I didn't want to waste my time. So I worked as a teaching assistant just to get into the loop of what the British educational system is like. But at the same time, I had to do a top-up degree, and that was my bachelor's honors degree. So I had to go to university once a week. I had to
Okay.
complete a new dissertation. And then
Oh,
after 1 year, I was awarded a bachelor honors degree from Manchester Metropolitan University.
okay. And thus, that allowed you to already go into a teaching career, yes.
Yes, yeah. So it
Ah,
finally did because I had a bachelor's degree, and so that kind of paved way into me being
yes.
able to teach now.
Yes, okay, yeah. Thank you very much. I'll get back to it in a little while. And then for Chris, Chris, you finished accountancy and you also passed the licensure exam, right? So you're a
That's
certified public accountant, no? And that's one of the more lucrative professions actually, even now, no, in the Philippines and I suppose also in the UK. But tell
abroad.
us, tell us how you joined the Yasmin. Was it Yasmin first, who went to the UK, and then you followed suit? Yeah.
That's correct. Because when I graduated in 2012, took the board exam right away, passed. It wasn't an easy, how do you call that,
Transition.
transition process because as a CPA, I obviously wanted to, get that much needed exposure. I was a fresh grad. I
Yeah.
don't have experience in terms of what a CPA does, right? And then there are various areas that you can actually explore. But what I chose was public practice, which is in external audit.
Yes. Yes.
It's to me the story of my career is more of going outside of your comfort zone
Mm-hmm.
because I graduated in Dumaguete. I got my bachelor's degree in Dumaguete. Took the board exam in Manila. Had my first employment in Cebu. My first job in Cebu. Then moved to Manila
Mm-hmm.
and. But that's still within the same company as
Yeah.
GBC Sitgor and Velayo.
Okay.
And that in a way sort of paved the way of me being able to, explore opportunities outside of the Philippines because SGB was affiliated with Ernst and Young, which is a
Yeah.
global firm.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, to your question,
Yeah.
she moved here and then I followed suit. And then but it was an easy transition somehow because it's still the same global company that I work
Yeah.
with, just that I transferred from Manila to London this time.
Okay. So how many years have you been in London? But
It's I moved here in 2020, just right before
okay.
COVID happened.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's been 3 years. It's been
Yes.
lovely 3 years so far.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure. And then for Yasmin, you were ahead, right? Than Christopher. Okay.
Yes. So I have been here for 5 years and a half, almost 6 years now. ma'am.
Okay, great. Yeah. So describe to us, of course, no. We cannot certainly make a comparison between life in the Philippines and, of course, life in the UK and even elsewhere, even abroad, because definitely it would like give you, a higher pay and so on. Perhaps life would even be better. But again, better is relative. If you ask me,
True.
yeah, wherever you may be, certainly if your loved ones are there and so on. But anyway, describe to us the fact that from Dumaguete, from a small city, from a small province in the Philippines, and then you jumped over to London. So it's like a dog eat dog world, and
Yeah.
somehow, yeah, trying your best to make both ends meet. But this time as a couple, as husband and wife. Yeah. Anyone can go first.
I go first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a massive, massive change for us, ma'am, because we were not only from Dumaguete, which is already a city in itself, but we were from, I would say, the province. I live in Tayasan, and Tayasan is almost like, it's a beautiful town, but not as developed as Dumaguete. And in the same way with him, he was from Canlaon.
Canlaon, yeah.
Yes, so we were proper villages, if you were to say.
Okay.
And kind of being in London, where like jobs are so competitive, it's always a fast life. It was a struggle to begin with, but I think we are both lucky because in some respect we're quite competitive. So we do the competition. And so it's like he excelled in his career, I also excelled in my career, mainly because we work hard. Work ethic is there, the competitiveness is there, but also because we have each other, which I would say very important because from time to time, even though I'm half British, I'm fully Filipino by heart. I grew up in the Philippines. I was in the Philippines for 19 years. That's almost my entire lifetime. So we do miss the food. We do miss the weather, because in London, ma'am, it's always raining. It's always grey. It's always gloomy.
Okay.
And I feel like at the end of the day, you just have to get strength from each other. And I would say that I'm just very fortunate to have an amazing man as my support system, as my partner in life, and my rock.
Yes,
I mean,
great. I
totally agree with her. Because we have each other, moving here in the UK as a couple, it's not that difficult. It's because you have somebody to share it with, right? Both ups and downs. So one good thing I think, from my perspective, on a personal note, is we have different how they call that, careers. She is in teaching. I am in accountancy.
Okay.
To a certain extent, it helped because when she rants about her downtimes, it's almost like I'm here to support you. I'm here to listen.
Yeah.
Not to also run
back.
Run back.
Okay.
Always a give and take exercise for us. When someone needs support, the other one is there.
Yes, okay. Now, may I ask Chris, that's really quite interesting. And I think bottom line is, so long as you have one another, right? Maybe a member of a family, maybe a loved one, life would become not really very easy, but it would become, easy to, for you to get along with one another, and also with the workplace where you are in. But for Chris, is the competition as far as your field, which is accountancy or auditing, is it as tremendously competitive if you had stayed in the Philippines, or now that you have moved to the UK, or perhaps let us say elsewhere in the world? Because this is also one of the more in-demand professions that we have, no?
Specifically in a public accounting firm, regardless of location, country, I'd say it's a competitive field. It's a competitive how do you call that, scenario, environment, to be honest. Just because the basics of corporate hierarchy, right? In order for you to move up, you obviously have to present yourself. You obviously have to demonstrate that you have capabilities. And I think it's not just in a public accounting firm, I'd say. It's common across organizations that when the opportunities present itself, you don't shy away with it, right? So make sure that you present yourself, you put yourself on the table for you to be considered, something like that. It's not. I think how it works differently here in the UK is the fact that you're able to drive your career, meaning you don't have to wait for somebody to tap you. Hey, you're up for promotion. You need to submit yourself for promotion. It's more around these are the opportunities. I think I have the capability of presenting myself and demonstrating that I have capabilities. Let me work on that, and then with the hope that people would notice it. Because back then in the Philippines, not to discredit my previous organization, I think there's a point of somebody tapping you to hey, you're ready. You sort of have to wait until you get noticed.
Okay. Are you the go-getter type of a person, Chris? Like, I'm aiming for something, thus I have a goal to keep, thus I have a goal to achieve, and so on. So go-getter, like you want to get right away what you plan to do.
I'd say that's a fair definition, description that I am a go-getter. But it's to me, it's finding the right balance, right? Because if there's that opportunity and that personally within you're not comfortable that you are ready, then I guess rather than presenting yourself ahead or that early, it would also be disadvantageous to you as a person, right? Finding that right path.
Yeah. Well, was it? Well, yeah. And was it difficult for you to get to the next rung of the ladder while you were in the Philippines?
It's not difficult. I'm surprised. Just reflecting on my experience back then, it was. I'd say it's not easy. It was not easy because you had to go through a lot of late overnights, things like that. But I think I'm one of those that were able to do a fast track within the organization that you're able to step into, step higher or move up higher to the next role. So I think there's a fair balance. There's a balance between merit-based promotions and as well as those that are based on business case, something like that.
And the experience perhaps that you have gotten out of your previous employer, helped you, especially now, that you have this.
I totally agree with
position.
That. My formative years as a professional, I would say, a lot of credit should be with my previous organization. I know, although I know it's it's part of the global organization, but I put a lot of credit to my mentors back then, because they were the ones who molded me into who I am now as a professional. So
that's really nice.
That's really a good exposure that I had with my previous organization.
Yes, and before I ask you about your own experiences while at Foundation University, as well as the learnings you got from your alma mater, I'd like to ask Yasmin. Yes, you're being half British, even if you grew up in the Philippines and was raised in the Philippines. Did it help in a way for you to break into the education sector in the UK? So in other words, you did not have any previous experience as a teacher here in the Philippines because you immediately moved to the UK after graduation, yes?
So I worked in the Philippines for about 6 months, ma'am, in a language school in Cebu. But I wouldn't really say that being half British would give you an advantage. I mean, just a wee bit, I would say, a very tiny bit, because at least I was exposed to a little bit of the culture from my dad. But then my dad passed away when I was relatively young. So it's almost as if I had to start from scratch. So I had to learn the curriculum. I had to learn how to teach. The planning format was completely different. Their ways of assessing is just completely different. So it was a relearning process for me, which was quite humbling, because if you think about it, you know, it's like I graduated cum laude, but when I came here, it was just a slap to reality that, you know, you can't teach, you have to start from the bottom. So I had to work my way up, which was, for me, a really good experience, because now I have a very good understanding of how everything works in a school, how everything fits into the curriculum. I started as a teaching assistant and I had to work my way up. So I'm still very grateful with, you know, the experience that I had to go through before I finally achieved where I am now.
Yeah. Your students are in the primary level or middle school? Primary level.
Yes.
So very young kids, no? Very young kids?
Yeah, so ages 7 to 11.
7 to 11, oh my, no, but of course you have been trained as an education graduate at Foundation University. So in other words, the training and of course the education that you got in the United Kingdom, no, in London specifically, as well as your training in the Philippines, would you say that it's a great combination, something like getting the best characteristics of each one? Yes.
Oh, definitely, ma'am. Even though I would say that the educational system of the Philippines is still patterned with like the American educational system. It's like even the way I speak now, I would always laugh and tell Christopher, I have a very culturally confused accent because I have the American accent, you know, from the Philippines.
Yeah.
And as you're working here, you kind of pick words along. And it's like with me, I would just say words the way I want to say them. I wouldn't be too conscious about, you know, saying it in a specific accent. But also in foundation, when I attended my program there, you have courses like the pedagogy of education, philosophy of education. Those are global knowledge that you would have to know as an educator anyway. So wherever you will be, whether you're teaching in, you know, in any corner of the world, those are essentials. So it's like the very basics, the very foundations of teaching. I would say that I really got that from Foundation University. And I would say that I am incredibly blessed because we have like the pillars of education in the College of Education there. So I had the most amazing instructors, and the expectations that the College of Education had from its students, especially when you do your practice teaching, the expectations are really high. So you have to work really, really hard. You have to put in a lot of effort. You have to study really hard for you to become, you know, one of the best students. So I would say that who I am now as an educator, as a teacher, I would say that most of it, I would still credit from Foundation University.
Right. Yeah. And both of you, Chris and Yas, you did not even go through senior high school, right?
No.
I was trying to keep track of the years that you had graduated and while you were in school. So certainly you were not part anymore. Yeah, that's relatively recent, the senior high school program of the Philippines. Yes. Okay. So in a little while, I shall be asking you about your experiences at Foundation University, the things that have actually made you remember the campus life that I know you have both enjoyed, and perhaps extracurricular or co-curricular activities that you had taken part in, especially that I know both of you were quite active also at Foundation University. So we will be right back, friends, with Miss Yasmin Marco Braithwaite and Mr. Christopher Marco Braithwaite.
This is Earth Radio. And now here's human music.
Yes, we're back once again on iGreyhound, and here we are in a virtual setting. I am in Dumaguete, and our interviewees are in London, and that makes it really very wondrous, as the wonders of technology would permit all of us. So, yes, I am still speaking with Miss Yasmin Marco Braithwaite and Christopher Marco Braithwaite, but very, very quickly, Yasmin and Marco, maybe you can explain in a nutshell to our viewers how come you have this double, how do you call it? You said something like a double barrel way
Yeah.
of addressing yourselves. Yeah, very quickly.
So double barrels are really common in the UK.
Okay.
So what we did was, I originally wanted to keep my surname, but Christopher insisted that he wanted me to have his surname as well, which is just fair. Because if you think about it culturally in the Philippines, the lady would take on the man's surname. So we came up with an agreement to adopt a double barrel. So now our new surname is Marco Braithwaite, which is a combination of both our surnames, which is taken by me as the lady and taken by him as the husband.
Yes, right. So that's how you call it, not double barrel. Yes.
Yes.
Very nice. Yes. Okay. Now let's get into your student life and also being alumni of Foundation University. I know both of you, as we had mentioned, were very active both in curricular as well as co-curricular activities. So perhaps you can tell our viewers your notable experiences while you were students trying to combine both a very enjoyable student life and at the same time giving your all to serve the student body while maintaining your class standing. Yeah. Who would go first?
I'd let you go first.
Okay, Yasmin.
I have to admit that I was incredibly busy during my college life in Foundation University. And at one point, my studies were somehow sacrificed. So I was a consistent presidential awardee from first year, second year. But at the peak of being involved in like the student government, other organizations, going to different conferences, I dropped down to a dean's lista when I was in my sophomore year. But then I felt like, this can't continue. So I had to make sure that I do better in my studies and just try to maintain a balance between, my extracurricular activities, but also try to focus on keeping my grades up. So I finally managed to pull myself back up and get a presidential honors degree when I was in my last year in Foundation. But it's really hard, Mom. I'm not going to lie. It is very hard because when you get involved with organizations, you have to give it your all somehow. And it's like during that time as well, I was sent to like different conferences in Manila, in Baguio, and I would always get asked, "Oh, where's Foundation University?" And when I said, "Oh, it's in Dumaguete, Negros Oriental," and then they would say a different university that was more renowned in our province. And so I made it my personal mission to get Foundation University known. So whenever I go to conferences, I would brag about Foundation University. I would speak non-stop about Foundation University, how we have fast architecture, we have the Japanese style social garden, we have like amazing teachers, amazing instructors, and that somehow works because slowly when I would go to other conferences, they would then realize that Foundation University is in Dumaguete. So I was so happy when I eventually somehow made a mark for FU. But at the same time, I was also doing other things for the university. I was part of the university corps of usher and usherettes. I was involved in like other organizations. So it was difficult to find the right balance. So that involved a lot of sleepless nights, I would say, a lot of anxiety. But I think when you're really passionate about what you do, you have to find a way to make it work. I know I couldn't just let go of my studies because, as I was saying, I was also an academic scholar, which funded a big part of my tuition fee. So I had to work really hard to make sure that I'm keeping things afloat.
Yeah, right, right.
I had a very fun college life, I would say. I'm very grateful that the administrators, especially Sir D, Mamira, they've always been very, very supportive in whatever I do. So I think that sums up my entire college experience.
Without sacrifice, hopefully, no, without sacrificing one against the other, because as you had mentioned, you're also an honor student, yes. And Marco himself, or Chris, I always confuse Christopher, Marco, and Chris himself also graduated magna cum laude. And in the year that you graduated, I suppose you delivered the valedictory address, being the class valedictorian also of that year, Chris.
Yes,
right?
yes, that's correct.
So that's 2012.
That's 2012. I graduated indeed magna cum laude, and then was the college valedictorian back then.
Yes.
I'd say I had my fair share of extracurricular activities back then. Obviously, accounting or accountancy is a demanding course. So I had to find the right balance between academics and extracurricular activities. The reason I said I had my fair share because I think most of my sort of representations was with CBA activities in College of Business Administration. I was visible. I was active in joining activities or leading activities, being part of the CBA student government, which is a nice experience, to be honest, apart from academic, because academic is one thing. It's demanding, and has always been demanding, and the accountancy students now can attest to it.
Yes, certainly.
But one good thing with me being involved in extracurricular activities as well is being able to hone my soft skills, being able to socialize, mingle with other people, exercise your leadership skills, project management. I think in one way or another, it gave you that holistic opportunity to bring up other facets of your personalities. It's a really good scenario back then. I had opportunities, and then thanks to my mentors and college instructors in CBA, that they recognized me, and not just me, my other piece as well. And that's, I think, one good thing with Foundation University is you have a lot of opportunities. They have a lot of opportunities for students to avail, and it's just really up for the students to grab those opportunities, because in one way or another, it's there for a reason. It will help you as a student and as a person in general.
Right. This particular question, I haven't asked this among many of our alumni or even those that I have interviewed. But this time, while listening to you, I am quite intrigued, and I'm going to ask you this question, both for Yasmin and for Christopher. If you would live your student life all over again, of course, at Foundation University, are there things perhaps that you would like to undo for certain reasons, which I think you don't mind if you will share it with us, or things that you would have done given the years that you were in Foundation University? Things that you would undo, those that you had already done, but perhaps you'd like to modify it a bit, and then things that you would have wanted to do, but maybe because of certain reasons, you're not able to do that.
It's a very good question, ma'am.
It's a very good question.
You want to think a bit? Yeah, okay.
Standard.
I think first?
Oh, yeah. Let me go first.
Okay.
To me, I wouldn't wanted to, I don't want to have it any other way. How I lived my student life back then was not perfect. It has its ups and downs, but to me, it happened for a reason. I was a consistent academic scholar, and I had to do that because I was not born to a rich family, and scholarship was a big deal that I need to maintain really all throughout my 4 years at Foundation University. And having a fair share of extracurricular activities is it was a good thing that I was able to experience that as well. Or maybe just reflecting as I was conversing with you, be more involved in university-wide activities, not just within the College of Business Administration. Maybe that's one thing that I should have spent some time during my stay at FU. But it's not really a deal breaker if I call it that way. That's my take.
Was it because accountancy, as you had mentioned, Chris, is a very demanding course or profession?
Yes, that was one of the reasons I would say. One is in maintaining your academic scholar. In order for you to do that, you have to be good in not just an accounting, but as well as your minor subjects, right?
Right.
So and the reason I said university-wide activities because I was representing CBA in some university-wide activities, but I guess you were doing
the opposite.
No, you were doing FU-wide student government, right?
Student government, yes.
After the whole of student government in FU. And I did not have the opportunity, or I may had the opportunity, but I chose not to, present myself.
Just building on what you have said, I think for me it's the opposite, ma'am. Because as he has said, I was serving the university, but at the same time, I feel like I haven't served my college as much. And if you consider it, it's like your college is your first home. And there you are, trying to serve the entire university when you haven't even given the right service to your college, which was perceived to be not so good. So there was a frown on that. There was a kind of frown, especially because we had instructors in the College of Education who were so loyal to the college. And also, on the other hand, I had the most amazing mentors, and those teachers, the likes of Mom Sedilios or Jasper Gata, Dean Roulette, I feel like in so many points of my college life, they've seen me break down and cry because I was already panicking about my grades because of doing too much extracurricular. But they still supported me. It's that kind of support that they still gave me, even though there I was doing things for the university, forgetting that, wait a minute, I should be doing things for the College of Education as well. So it's like, even though I was doing so much for the university, whenever I needed my mentors, whenever I needed the CE family, I would say, they were still there. So if I were to redo that again, I feel like I would have done more to the college and maybe just a teeny weeny bit less to the university.
So listening to both of you, it's like the other way around, no? Chris would have wanted to join in or perhaps get involved in university-wide activities. That was what you said, Chris, right? And then for Yas, you had the opportunity to lead the student government, but at the same time, I would have wanted, or you would have wanted to at least serve your home college as well. No? That's quite interesting. But again, what is it a regret, if I would call it as such, Yas? And even for Chris?
I wouldn't say it's a regret, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
I would just say that it's what you say, the could have done. I could have done. I could have done.
Right.
But I think regret is a very
Yes.
deep word.
Okay.
So I wouldn't consider it as a regret. But again, if I were given the opportunity to like have a redo of my college life, that's one thing that I would have focused on more.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And then for Chris, some specific instances that you may be able to remember, things that you have done, perhaps inside the classroom, while you were listening to your professors or instructors, those that have been ingrained in your mind, even after graduation, and which you think are useful to you until today.
Right. It's a good question. Because just reflecting on my classes back then, with my instructors, those are factors that you can control, right? You will be assigned to a subject with this instructor with this type of approach in teaching. I think how I will respond to your question is more on you being flexible, being adaptable to whatever is the approach of the teacher. I guess you need to go back to what, how you really approach things, right? Whatever is the approach of the instructor, being able to adapt and adjust to that, and still be successful. To me, that is something that I can take out from that exercise. Even I moved out of foundation, and that I can always still apply. I still apply in my current organization, because you can control who you work with. They have different personalities, and especially here in London, it's very diverse. You have to work with individuals with different cultural backgrounds.
Yes. Right.
For you to adjust yourself and tailor to, I guess, get the optimum, ways of working as a team. That to me is that I credit to my experiences in a classroom setting in Foundation University.
Yeah. So now, Chris, you are working in a corporate setting in London, huh? And you mentioned soft skills. Do employers? Let's talk about it in the context of your corporate world in London. Do employers look for prospective employees with outstanding ability, outstanding scholastic record, or would they also look for those with soft skills, no? That would still be useful to the company or to the corporation? I don't know what the scenario would be there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's again, it's going to be the right balance of an individual having the technical skills, and because it's difficult to figure out, by just reading through the CV of an individual if he has excellent soft skills. And I think in our field of practice, we for entry level individuals, we tend to focus on technical abilities, because that's what you can measure based on examinations, based on the achievements he had or she had back in her university days. But as you try to move up the ladder, soft skills will become relevant, right? Because if you then go to a manager position or even a senior position, project management is very key. Leadership skills is very key. Being able to drive the team, being a team,
team player or
team player,
team player.
Being a team player is really a key attitude or attribute for you to move up the ladder. So as and when you join any organization,
Yeah.
you try to build up on those skills. And again, as you move up, it will become more relevant.
Yeah. Yeah, and then perhaps along the way, you learn from your like fellow employees, or perhaps you learn from your superiors as well. Yeah, very interesting, Chris. Thank you. And then for Yas, perhaps your experiences as a student teacher back at Foundation University, and another question: are you really a child, something like a somebody who loves kids? Because can you imagine that you're handling 7 to 11-year-old children? Yeah.
So that's hard to answer because I absolutely love what I'm doing, and Christopher knows that. At the end of the day, I come back with a gazillion stories to tell him about how. And it's like he gets to know the specific children that I work with because I mentioned them so much. But when I first contemplated about what career I wanted to take, ma'am, I really wanted to take a deep dive into like the corporate world. If you were to ask me when I was in like my second year and third year of high school, I would automatically tell you that, I want to be a marketing executive. Just because back then I loved how they dressed, I loved that they put makeup. And those are very shallow, very superficial reasons on why I wanted to take on that career that I mentioned before. But when I was finally given the chance to decide, I took up teaching first because it was very practical. I was thinking then I needed a job that I could easily get from being in a province or wherever you will be. But then it grew on me. I grew to love the profession. And you as a teacher yourself, ma'am, you would know that it is just the most satisfying, it is the most amazing job that one could ever take. Because at the end of the day, you're imparting lifelong learning to children. And those children will grow up to be adults. Those adults will grow up to be, citizens of a country. So it's almost as if you're contributing to the next generation. So that's what makes teaching very pleasurable. But to begin with, it wasn't really in my vocabulary. I didn't really like children that much per se. Now, I say that it has grown on me, and the teaching skills have developed in a way, and the love for teaching has really somehow boosted when I started doing the job.
How many pupils do you have in one class? Yes.
So there's around 25 to 28, ma'am.
Wow, in one class.
One class, yes.
One class. Oh my! But the ratio of a teacher and then the number of students.
So in one class, it's usually, I would say at the moment in our school, we would have a maximum of 28 children in a class. But at the moment, roughly, I would say on average, we have about 25 children in one class. But because I'm a specialist teacher, I work with a small group of children. So the approach is quite different because I work with children who somehow need support in developing their language and communication. But in other classroom settings, on a mainstream classroom, they also have teaching assistants. So it's quite nice. Children are quite privileged that there are two adults working with them. So the focus of the teacher will be teaching the main lesson, but the teaching assistant will be there assisting the teacher, or it's like that teaching assistant can also take up small groups for interventions and other activities.
Okay. So your area, is you teach them practically everything for 7 to 11-year-old kids.
General knowledge, ma'am. Yes.
Wow. Yes. Okay. I cannot imagine anyone perhaps in your place, especially that you're a willowy lady and so on. I wonder if they would all like gang up on you. Are children usually children are like that to their teachers? I wonder. Very quickly, you describe a typical day in your classes.
I feel like because the lessons are very structured, there is no time to mess around. And I would say that as a teacher, I'm quite strict. So rules are rules.
Okay.
Learning behavior need to be in place for the lesson to be effective.
Yeah.
Fair enough. When I'm outside and I'm in the playground, I'm very friendly. The children know that. But also establish clear boundaries that when we are inside the classroom, it's a different setting.
Yeah,
so it's like the authority would be on me. Your job is to listen and do whatever you are told. So it's just very important to establish boundaries with children and structure. I would always say this. Children in their formative years, especially when they are in primary school, they really need to know where they should be, where they're going to, and how they will get there. So it's very important to put that in place.
Yeah. So that's classroom management, no? Which you have actually
very
learned
much
at
so.
Foundation. Yeah, great. Yeah. So with the few minutes that we have left, Chris and Yas, I wanted really to talk some more, no, about your experiences at Foundation and now in UK. But let me see. Some words that you would like to live by for our students and perhaps to your fellow alumni, insofar as your experiences are concerned, both at Foundation and while you are now working professionally, which you would like to impart to them. Anyone could go first.
Okay, I'll start with the importance of work ethic. And I feel like this isn't really explicitly taught in school, although it is quite implicit in some of the lessons, some of the activities that you go through. But it's like, as Christopher has said, there's only so much that technical skills would take you. There's only up to a certain level that those skills, those abilities, your aptitude will take you. But if you don't have the right work ethic to pair it with, then I don't think you'd be really successful in the career that you have chosen. So to students out there who would probably be listening to this interview, learn as much as you can, but be also very cautious that in the real world, you have to work hard. You have to put a lot of effort in for you to be noticed, for you to have a successful career in the long run. And of course, be passionate about what you do. Do something that you know would make you wake up in the morning, something that will excite you, something that will motivate you. But at the same time, make sure that you're doing it passionately, make sure that you're doing it with the right, how would I say it?
Mindset.
The right mindset, yes.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Yas. Yeah, for Chris. Thank you, Yas.
You pretty much covered everything already. I agree with work ethic, but maybe to top it up, for me, it's going to be, because I'm always a man of few words, it's don't be afraid stepping outside of your comfort zone. Explore new areas, explore new things. Because that's when, when you're exposed to a lot of things, that's when you realize what you really want in life. Yeah. What you really, where you really find joy in terms of the things that you do, right? To me, that because as I've said, my career has always been about stepping outside of my comfort zone. And maybe it worked out for me, and could also work out for you, but something for you to take away from this conversation. If you are not growing within the bounds of your current environment, maybe a new environment would help you grow.
Yeah, and not to be afraid, not to set out into the something like an unknown world, and simply just take in everything that would come your way. Thank you very much once again, Miss Yasmin and Christopher. It has truly been nice talking to you. How I wish we could have done this really like in person or physically right on the campus of Foundation University, but I know we have some constraints, but we really wish you well on behalf of everyone at Foundation University. I know that we are all very proud of what you have become, and those parting words that you also imparted, especially to those who are listening in or viewing us now, would really go a long way, especially as they go about their student life at Foundation and even while they are spreading their wings, so to speak, And I think your story, including your life story and love story, would really inspire many among us here. Thank you very much, Yas and Chris. We hope to see you in your future visits to Dumaguete. Thank you.
Thank
Salamat.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you also for having us, Mom. It's always
Yes.
such a pleasure to speak to
Always,
you.
always.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So with that, friends, we bring to a close another episode of iGreyhound. Please do not forget our replays at 2 to 3 in the afternoon every Friday and Saturday. And we are also being streamed live on the Facebook page of Foundation University. This has been Cecile Henove bidding everyone a pleasant evening.